There we go. Good day, good day, good day. Better also start recording this. There we go, we're also recording. So these streams are now going to go up on the Frontier Consolidated channel, I believe. So yeah, thanks for coming and checking the first one out. Just get the music turned down a little bit. How's everyone doing today? This is going to be just a bit of trying 318, or 318 trying us. Depends on which way you want to look at it. And all jokes aside, so far I have been having some fun. Me personally, anyway. Most of that fun has centered around hilarious bugs. And a lot of situations of just funny shenanigans, basically caused by the servers in their current state. Just ask the 6 people who were involved about the curse of the hammerhead. That was a fun evening. Oh well, that's we're very much off to a good 318 start. Still broken in some parts is absolutely correct. I wonder if we're best off just logging in again. That's probably going to be the best way to approach this. And we are also live over on Twitch, because part of my goal with 318 is to try and grow the Twitch side a little bit. So, character is stuck in Grimhex and can't spawn a ship. Yeah, it is a bit of a pain that they have disabled character repair. Not gonna lie, I feel like that might solve some people's issues. Just maybe. Any word on a patch or fix for everyone who's locked out? I believe, just going off Tracker SC, which is probably one of the best ways to keep on top of these things, they said that a .x build, so 0.1 build, is currently in QA for validation. Whatever that means. I'd imagine it will get quite a lot of QA validation. I can also see Twitch chat, Apple Bikini, and it should come up in the live chat. Let's try getting out of the bed again and hope we don't end up outside of a space station. Fingers crossed. We stood up. It's a win for 318. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions you wish. I can't promise you answers, or I can't promise you good answers. I can have a go at giving any answers, but can't promise they'll be brilliant. If you could stick question in front of your question, I mean, I'll try to get to all of them, but it would just make my life that bit easier. And can I start with a question and just check that after we did some work on the audio levels, that all the audio levels are fine? Because what I hear my end isn't always what you folks are experiencing your end, so. Oh, hey, Prop, how you doing? Yeah, 318.1 should be this week. I could see that. I could see that. I was to be absolutely honest, I was hoping for it by ahead of this weekend. But you know, that's some hopium right there. I would imagine by this week. It's really, you know, it's not good that lots of people are blocked out of the game. Sorry, if I find myself looking down, it's not because I've forgotten how to operate a keyboard. It's because I've got Krug at my feet, and he's probably about to go to sleep, but he's going to go to sleep on my foot. So yeah, it's mostly just keeping an eye on him. my wife's out, so stream time it is. But that means I might have a canine friend to deal with every now and again. It's currently looking good. We managed to get in our ship. So far it's all working. He says, cursing himself. Yeah, that might be a good option for you to know. Don't forget that you can do that. That you can sort of go to the medical terminals, reset your spawn, and then backspace, and then you should theoretically get kicked out at your original home location. Look like Tom Scott today with the red shirt. I don't honestly know who Tom Scott is, or maybe I do. I'm terrible with remembering names of famous people. Tend to know the faces, but. And yes, despite all of the joys of 318's launch, I did indeed give CIG more money for Vanguard paint. Wow, this is interesting. Forget that happened. Full disclaimer, I was stuck in the floor there. That was a game issue, that was not my flying. Right. What I'm thinking about doing, I'd imagine I've just completely balked my ship, but what I'm thinking about doing is heading to do some salvage. If this is going to work. So, of course, we've got some major torque imbalance on our Vanguard now after that amazing takeoff. I was looking forward to showing off the nice skin in QT, but I guess now I'm showing off a broken ship. But yeah, it was a Jeremy Clarkson type takeoff. My back wheels appeared to be stuck in the floor, so my solution to it was more power. Yeah, Tyler, I had a Corsair, and one thing I will say about the Corsair is it's what in the UK we would term Marmite. It's like Marmite, the company, had a very famous campaign which was basically like Marmite, you either love it or you hate it. So, not saying that's right or like it's right or wrong, but I had a Corsair and I just couldn't get on with it. I didn't enjoy it as a ship. You cannot argue with the pilot-controlled DPS, but what I can argue with is my enjoyment, and I did not find myself enjoying the Corsair. So I upgraded it into a Vanguard Sentinel and got this shiny skin, which I'm not too happy to show off now that I've blown a wing and most of the rear engines off it. Do I love Marmite or hate it? The people need to know. That is a good point. I do not like Marmite the spread. I do not like Marmite on toast. But what I do like are Marmite flavored crisps. I don't know, something about the consistency. Also, one of the benefits of Marmite flavored crisps is you can't eat too many, and I'm pretty bad for just smashing like a whole box of Pringles or something like that. So having some inbuilt self-control through the flavor getting a bit too intense is a good thing. Right, we've got a question. Where do you think is the best place to find salvage? I'm gonna go to it. That's where I'm gonna go. Because I think the best place is the Aaron Halo. For a variety of reasons, which we'll come on to. I think one of the major ones, you know, I'm gonna be using my Vulture just for this, because you know, solo salvage, solo ship. I just can't help but think when you are solo salvaging that you are in an incredibly vulnerable position. So any of the Lagrange points lying around, it's a bit risky. Like, you know, if you're in the back of your ship getting boxes moved from A to B, then you are not able in any way, shape, or form to defend yourself or run away. So Slowmaker can apparently argue with the Corsair's pilot-controlled DPS. I mean, it's one of the things about maths, though, isn't it? It's just a number. And Corsair's kind of got the most guns in the game under pilot control. I wish it wasn't so. To be honest, Tal, I do like the Connie. To be fair, I view all of these ships as buy-in game. I had a Corsair just because it was somewhere to stop off on a CCU chain to check out the new ship, which is what I tend to do. But then, you know, I moved on from it because I love the Vanguard personally, and it's one of the great things about Star Citizen, right? You know, my favorite ship does not have to be your favorite ship, and I think as long as that continues, yeah, that's where we're gonna get this variety. It'd be a bit sad to see it settle down into a meta and only 2 or 3 ships ever get used. Yeah, well, there is one ship you use for each purpose, and nobody uses any of the others. Right, from John, what in-concept ship do you think we need the most for Pyro? My pick's the Vulcan. My pick would be the Liberator, John. Do I mean the Liberator? I do, don't I? The Space Ferry. I think when you... Yeah, we've just done pretty much the big, like almost the biggest jump in Stanton. And we've done it quite neatly in a Vanguard. So, you know, Stanton just isn't particularly big, whereas I believe, don't quote me on this, but Pyro's what, about 3 times bigger? Don't quote me, feel free to correct me. But it's something in that ballpark. And so I just think, you know, in a system like that, there's then unless you have like a decent carrier, and the only real carrier of any description we've got at the moment is the Origin 890 jump, which is a bit weird, right? So unless you've got a carrier, like there's a whole list of ships with size 1 drives, you know, Arrows, Gladiuses, everything like that. I mean, but even things like Prospectors, you know, all of a sudden those ships are useless, because it doesn't matter how good your ship is if it can't get to a fight, it can't get to where it needs to mine, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, my top pick would be the Liberator. I do think the Vulcan would be a really good one, although I think, sort of as we're talking about Pyro with its size, I sort of think fuel is more of a pressing issue, and we can do fuel with the Starfarers. So just in terms of like it needs to be in for Pyro, I would imagine there will be a whole heap of ships which will be on the list for we want this for Pyro. And game systems as well. Yeah, another one I could easily pick out is the Expanse, because again, with the scale of Pyro, I think we'll have to be able to see things like ship refining before we see Pyro come up. Because, you know, you're not going to be, oh, I'm just hopping back to an L1. Yeah, it's meant to be a lot more of a desert out there in Pyro. All right, let's quickly get this Vanguard repaired. This is all good to see. Terminals worked. Repairs hopefully worked. You'll be good as new in a second. Yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. Nice and shiny. Yeah, my preferred Vanguard variant is the Sentinel. Partly, though, that's because it's the cheapest in-game. That was always a big thing for me. I was kind of like a bit weirded out by the pricing of the Vanguards. Didn't make all that much sense to me. They're very, very similar ships. They do have minor differences in terms of maneuverability and things, but actually the Sentinel's up there in terms of best maneuverability for the Vanguards. And starting loadout never bothered me all that much because you just change parts, right? So yeah, with that in mind, I prefer the Sentinel. Plus, you get that. I'm really interested to see what the Sentinel's eventual E-Warfare thing will look like, because it's basically got an EMP because all this other shiny E-War stuff isn't ready. It won't long-term have an EMP, and that is one thing to consider with the Sentinel. Don't buy it for that EMP. Go close back up. Yeah, well, if someone wants to nick it, they can nick it. But I do like the looks of the Warden. I really don't like how the Sentinel looks. Strangely enough, considering my logo is kind of blue and goldish, I don't actually like the blue and gold of the Vanguard Sentinel. Hence, I will happily dish out a bit of store credit for paint. Right, so let's see if we can claim the Vulture, nice and simple. Part of the reason I came to Arcal 1 is because it's got one of the shorter jumps into the Halo. And I haven't been having the best luck with going around and buying parts and them staying on my ships. That's been a little bit of a pain, so I haven't invested in things which I would, like an Atlas drive or similarly good drive for the Vulture. But we'll have to see if it's gonna play ball and let me claim. To be fair, I love all of the Vanguards. I think it depends on what you're going to use it mostly for, right? Like, I love the Hoplite as a dropship. I love the Harbinger as a bomber. Yeah, it's a... Oh, there we go, it did claim. Let's go. I think they've all got really good characters. It'll be interesting to see sort of where the Warden gets maybe a bit of a buff. My Twitch, I believe. Let me just take a quick look while we're claiming that. I'll be able to just pop that in chat in 1 second. I believe it's fairly straightforward, and it's twitch.tv/Laugans. I'll be able to just pop that in chat in 1 second. There we go. Any problems with pirates so far? No, I don't think they can get the game working either. So I haven't seen any just yet. I'm sure we will. They'll get up and running much like the rest of us. And to be fair, I think it's been a bit tricky to find anyone to pirate as well. That's there might have been plenty of people looking for them, but you know, I did a little bit of rock mining yesterday. That was a mistake. An inventory bug meant that, you know, I cracked about 4 Hadanite nodes, and then I scooped them all, and I couldn't work out why my rocks inventory wasn't doing very much. And then I looked inside, and I had a grand total of 7 Hadanite gems that had actually registered hitting the rocks inventory. So that was a little bit of a waste of time. Yeah, don't worry, I just did. It's an IAD. Thank you very much. That should stop in a second, or should have been stopped by now, so. Let's get this. There we go. 30 seconds or so. That's a pretty good way of looking at it. 318 spot 0 really forced PTU. I like that slide. There's only 48 people watching at the moment, so they won't know when I steal that one off you. Don't worry, credits will be given. But yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, though. Like, it's kind of like what I was trying to say in the last video. Yeah, hopefully we'll get a spot 1 patch next week, and we can just view the 1 week, 10 days, whatever it is, of 318 as the stress test, the final stress test of the 318 PTU. So yeah, I saw somebody ask me something about concept ships. What concept ships do I have? I need to remember. I know I've got an Orion because it's the one I always wanted, basically. I greatly enjoy mining, and I also sort of think to myself, like, part of when I look at concept ships, I look at the loner matrix. Let's just make sure, yeah, we've got a tractor beam. And look at sort of what, so for example, I don't own a mole and I don't own a prospector, but I get access to them, so that's cool. Gives me some mining ships in the meantime. What I'm a bit worried about is when I eventually have this Orion and then I lose my mole and my prospector, and I have to wrangle a crew to go and mine every time. They also have a Banu merchantman, but I'm really not sure about it. I grabbed a Banu merchantman when it was advertised as like a, you know, it was that spiky blockade runner, and I thought it was kind of perfect. Looked at it, I was like, you know, fully crewed, that would be like 5-6 people. Be a nice little addition of like a, yeah, I was hoping it would come in at like maybe 1,000 SCU of cargo. It'd be that sort of size. And I think I'm one of the few people out there who's like, it's got too big for what I wanted. You know, it's become this gigantic capital ship, and it's lost the spikiness. So I'm not 100% sure. JS, thank you very much there. I'm pretty much, I'm gonna have another little coffee in a second, but what I will be turning that into is a burrito, because, you know, that's what I tend to do with stream donations. They get added to my burrito fund, and yep, I'll hit up Death Valley burritos for some sort of pulled pork extravaganza, I guess I'm gonna call it. Right, so we're leaving Arkel 1 and we're gonna head to Herel 5. But I'm sure most of you know how to find the Aaron Halo, but just for the 1 or 2 people who don't, in between, I think it runs in between, like, ArcCorp is the, yeah, let's look at the map. So it's between ArcCorp and Crusader. You've got a band of asteroids, and what you have to do is you just have to cut your jump drive at the right time. So let's hope that while this is going, that I've got time to quickly load up a map. And oops, I've jumped to the wrong Lagrange point. So it's Crew L5 we're meant to go to. But that little bit of travel time won't have put me too far off path. And we're going to look to cut our drive around 39.8 million kilometers. But this is absolutely huge. So just need to make sure I'm complete without looking and being blinded by the sun. Yeah, I'm aiming for around band 5, Jason. And it's just density. Like, so band 5 is the most dense of the spot in the Halo. So yeah, it's yeah, the best place to what I'll do is I will. Have I got time? I've got time, I think, to just quickly alt tab out. This isn't the best link, but let's just paste that into here. And I'm afraid I cannot seem to get it to paste into Twitch chat. But yeah, that should help you find the Halo from Cornerstone. Have got these really good maps. They're incredibly well made, and they will tell you where to drop out and into what band of the Halo you should get. Hey, Hoy. The patch is definitely improving. We'll put it like that. They're clearly they've done a lot of work on like the back end, so we haven't nearly missed it. And we'll wait for this to load in. We can start to see all the asteroids populate. So there we go. We're in the big old asteroid belt. So yeah, I'd say it's notably improved. So the new trick when it comes to salvaging is we want to let our ping with tab, and then we want to take a look and get the RS readings on these. So over there you got your RS readings, if we can zoom in a little bit. And so that RS signature is 15,300. Basically, asteroids have an RS signature of 1,700 each. And salvage stuff, I believe, is 2,000 on the RS signature. So, sorry, that another ping, and got to widen that back out to get it to do the box. So yeah, so 15,300 is divisible by 1,700. So therefore, we know that's going to be asteroids, and we can scan it again, and there is a huge cluster of asteroids. I swear to God, if this is Quantanium. Right, the asteroids aren't being too responsive at the moment. This is still a server issue. But basically, by looking at the RS signatures, we know already that that's not salvage. For salvage, we're looking for things which are just round thousands. So that's 5,100. Just going to be asteroids. 1,700 single asteroid. 1,700 single asteroid. 1,700 single asteroid. You can just widen your ping back out to 360 degrees, and that'll let you keep the readouts up. Let's see if there are any we haven't scanned yet. That's still 1,700. And basically, what you can do is you can then just pile on through the Halo and keep scanning at 180 degrees. But if you want to be min-maxy about it and sort of watch your fuel consumption as you do this, all you do, bearing in mind that the Halo is absolutely massive, is just set your quantum, do a little jump, and cut your engine again, and you'll be in a fresh enough spot, because sort of these readings are all around up to 13 kilometers or so away. That just gives you a fresh load to take a look at. 7,900. Christ, I'm finding some massive asteroid clusters. Obviously not any salvage stuff yet. And what we're specifically looking for is these like shards or panels. They give perfectly good amounts of salvage, particularly for something like a vulture. And the reason I would say this is one of the best spots to come salvaging in 318 is because it's about as safe as they get, frankly. You know, I don't know where I am, so how can the pirates know where I am? You know, it's not like going to some of the Lagrange points and, you know, letting out scans to see if you can catch any vulture pilots unaware. Might take you a little while to find some stuff though. But that's just part of it. And to be fair, if you find a good enough shard, a good enough cluster of shards, because they tend to spawn in clusters like the asteroids do, you can pretty much fill a vulture off one. Right. What ship do you want to like but just don't? John's example is the Connie. I'm very glad I didn't come out into that massive rock there. The Connie is one of those for me as well. I mean, I do like the Connie, but I'm very conscious that the Connie could just be better. One of the ones which surprised me, it came up in a chat I was having last night as we were playing with some of the folks over on the Frontier Discord. You know, the Connie Phoenix, the luxury version, which, bearing in mind it has all of that additional living area, right? Apparently doesn't drop any cargo versus the Andromeda. Like, so that just leads me to wonder, you know, all that space in the back of like the Connie Andromeda and the Connie Phoenix. You know, that space is all apparently usable space. And yeah, one of the things which, so I really like the Connie Constellation Aquila, or Aquila, or however you want that pronounced. And the reason I can't like it versus, say, the Carrack is that, you know, if it's meant to be, because I dig the idea of exploration, but yeah, if it's meant to be an exploration ship, then, you know, me and the crew I'm part of, oh, there we go. Oh no, sorry, false alarm, 6,800. Just further proof that I'm putting off an appointment at the opticians. But yeah, me and the crew I'm part of, where are we? You know, the Constellation Aquila's like recreation area is so weak, for want of a better term. You know, it's just quite kind of dismal, and I can't really get immersed in the idea that this is, you know, they showed that really cool trailer for it, right, with the guy going and visiting alien worlds, and I just sort of like, no, you didn't spend however like many months with, you know, one little, it looks like the back of a caravan I stayed in Bournemouth when I was 5 years old. Like, yeah, and I was very small, and that caravan was, you know, I think we were all getting a bit of cabin fever and ready to get out of that after 5 days at the Bournemouth seaside. So Mr. McNally, this probably isn't the best time, but I will try and send me, you know, comment on a video or something, like comment on the latest video, sending your Discord handle, and we'll get in touch. That's probably the best way to do this, or comment down in the stream and just include your Discord handle, and I will ask someone to take a look, if that's all right. So because yeah, I am not the best multitasker at the best of times. So so I feel I'm just about handling looking for salvage badly and keeping up with reading chat. So I don't think I can do Discord admin at the same time. So yeah. Also, it's Saturday afternoon. Saturday afternoon is not for Discord admin. Also, Ravnak's away on holiday, so it's not the time for Discord admin. Because let's face it, I'm going to ask Rav. This is a lesson to you all. Don't be too good at your job. People will just ask you to do it more. Well, we're definitely This isn't a good look for my this is the best spot for salvage, is it? But even so, it's quite therapeutic. And we can't get ambushed, which is the important part. No, I'm afraid I don't have the intro sequence ready to roll. Would be a good time. Let everybody get a cup of tea. Although a couple of people have said to me that the downside is it's not enough time to get a cup of tea. I just say that I'm trying to train people to, you know, basically have a cup of tea already made to the point of the final pour. Then you'll be able to use that intro time to just, you know, get that pour on the go. That's interesting. Yeah, we could talk about multi-crew for a bit, for sure. About functional gameplay loops and reasons for them, I can't bother with multi-crew ships. Perfectly valid point. You know, and I think one of the things which we are starting to see is multi-crew ships that make more sense to operate than their solo cousins. The first one of those really is the difference between the Vulture and the Reclaimer, right? Like, if I grabbed 3 people out of Discord, you know, assuming we could find some salvage, and we crewed up the Reclaimer instead, we would make more money probably each than if we took 4 Vultures out. Obviously that would take a long time to prove that is exactly the case, because it would be an over X amount of time type deal. But the Reclaimer has definite advantages versus the Vultures, in terms of sort of the speed and the efficiency stats of the lasers, and also just the fact that, you know, you got 2 hoppers, you've got that person there to actually keep it moving. So, you know, if we manage to ever actually find some shards to salvage, then we'll be able to see, you know, I can fill up 2, then I've got to hop out, then I've got to get down to the back of the ship, then I've got to move those crates, then back to the pilot seat. Like, I honestly think the Vulture's maybe a 2-person ship. It works so much better when you've got 2 of you aboard. This is starting to get a little bit distressing, I'm not gonna lie. And I think we'll see that with the mole in not too long. You know, the difference between a mole and a prospector. I know not everybody is a fan of those proposed changes with the prospectors, multi-prospector basically taking a nerf. But you know, it does answer a question, right? The question of, like, why would I want to be part of a mole crew when we could just go out in multiple prospectors instead? And the arguments against that as a way of doing things, like, they vary. You know, what's the how is this realistic, etc. It's just like, it's a game. It doesn't have to be realistic. Okay. Games are just about balancing the systems in a way that they make the game more fun, push you to do certain things, reward you for doing certain things. And the thing is, like, multi-crewing, like, while I personally really enjoy it, it's harder in some ways. Like, you have to work with other people. You know, this going off into the Halo on my own, and it didn't take any real organization apart from nearly crashing with Vanguard as I came out of Port Tressler. But you know, it's just I didn't have to organize and rendezvous with anybody else, and I'm out and I'm doing my thing, and that's cool. But like, there should be a bonus to doing the harder thing, to my mind. And I wouldn't read too much into like how things are in the current state of the game, because you know, real balancing and stuff comes with beta. And so I think the one thing they could have done with the Vulture, you know, is just maybe 3 boxes, maybe 4. I think that could have been a general sort of improvement in all of the salvage ships, just giving you a little bit more of a runway. Like having to move every 2 boxes is a little bit annoying, I would say. But so's not being able to find a salvage at all, so. Can I blame the servers? It's 318. It's not me just being rubbish or having bad luck. Yeah, I think it's I think one of the biggest problems on that comment there, one of the biggest problems with this launch is that there are some people just completely locked out. And particularly that they are locked out because effectively, as far as I understand it, we don't have character repair. And that's alright if you're lucky enough to have, like, you know, an alt account that you can get in on instead. But yeah, it's really harsh too, because I know it was annoying enough in the first couple of days when all of the servers were completely broken, and you know, you'd sit around in a group of 10 people on Discord and you're all basically watching one person play, the one person who could get in. That's bad enough, but that's when like there are 9 of you out of 10 of you experiencing the same problem. But now it seems to be, you know, 3 out of 10 people are locked out with this player unstowed bug. And yeah, it's just it's not fair. It's not fun. Not something I'd wish upon anyone. So you kind of feel a little bit left behind by the devs here. How have I found a 20,400? I'm interested to just see how many asteroids that is. We might have to go a bit closer. Why is it when I bring a mining ship out to the Halo, I find all of the salvage? But when I bring a salvage ship out, I of course find all of the minables. Yeah, I'm sure if it does help at all, I'm sure we're gonna see some form of 0.1 patch in the near future, is what I would be willing to stake on it. But I know that's no fun when it's another weekend where you can't play your favorite game. So I'm not going to pretend like it's like it makes it any easier. The one thing I will say is I am so glad I did what I did last weekend, and me and Mrs. Guns had a spa weekend, a spa day booked for the Saturday they launched, and for a moment I was just like, come on. Of all the days I could have ended up picking to book this spa day, did I really have to book it on launch day? And then I realized, I was like, wait a second. Oh, I'm an accidental genius. I think I'm going to be booking a spa day for every MMO launch and every Star Citizen patch launch day there is from now on. Right, Streamlab donations. Oh, thank you very much to that. I'm really sorry. I'm terrible at... I haven't got my notifications set up properly. This is going to be a hefty burrito this evening. Thank you very much. It's one of the things I will be working on as we get into 3.18. I'd like to do some more streaming because I just enjoy it. Even like this, you know, I am being objectively useless at the game, but it's nice to just, you know, chill out on a Saturday afternoon and chat Star Citizen while attempting to play it. Yeah, I think yeah, Alan, I think that's where a Liberator is going to be really interesting, sort of effectively like a mobile miniature industrial fob, effectively. And particularly if we get, because it's annoying. They talked, they went through a period roundabout when they released the Expanse, where they talked an awful lot about ship refining, and then they haven't said anything about it more recently. But from that, I know that the Starfarer was meant to be getting a look in at refining as well. And so I think sort of a combination of like a Liberator and a Starfarer, and the Liberator carries all your things like your Prospectors and Vultures and stuff. And then your Starfarer acts as your refinery and refueling capability. It'd be really interesting. I'm starting to wonder about the total lack of salvage out here in the belt. Yeah, Vulgarian. So they did an ISC, which was like all about mining, effectively, a couple of weeks ago. And one of the features that's getting added, they're adding a couple of new minables. I am not going to try and say the name of the new hand mineable gem. Maybe somebody could type it for me in chat, and then I'll give a go at reading it out. But yeah, there is going to be a new sort of super high value hand mineable. And what was quite interesting that they said about it there, because it's one of those things where it's like, cool, you added a new hand mineable, but like I'm as a miner, I'm still just gonna mine Quantanium, right? Like, go figure. But the cool thing about it is that they're sort of saying it's more meant as like when you finally, right, so there we go, 4,000, which means that should be a couple of salvageable bits. So yeah, the thing with it is it's meant more as like if you're out exploring anyway, then you will stop and grab these bits, grab those gems, and there'll be like a nice extra payday. So that's really cool as like a way to look at it. As long as, and this is the one thing I would sort of say on it, as long as the value of, as long as there is a purpose for you to be in that cave anyway, right? Like, so I'd love it if we saw some more like exploration focused missions. Like the cave rescue and search missions are quite cool anyway, but I think we need to see some more exploration focused gameplay that could be forcing you down into those caves. The caves are obviously getting improvements, And yeah, as long as we see that, then also as part of your crew, you know, you would bring a multi-tool with a orbit mining attachment, and then you could go, wow, we found, thanks, like, yeah, we found the Genolite. So that's not as bad as I remembered it being. I thought it was Genitanium. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a real tongue twister. So yeah, these shards are basically the best of salvage. As you can sort of see, we come out of gimbaled mode, the thickness of it, and it's the thickness of this layer which really determines sort of the density and the rates of extraction that you get. And so while stuff like a C2 wreck or something might look really good as something to scrape, you'll find it's a lot thinner, which yeah is not so good, right? Like, you just wouldn't be getting as much. Whereas if you can find big clusters of these panels, as you can, and I screwed it up because I went way too quickly with it, and I was talking away. So yeah, the density of these is they just have quite a lot more going. I got told right now, and this is one of the sort of fair things to say about the current state of the game. It's all about patience. Basically, have 30 times more patience than you did in the past when it comes to doing anything. And what we have to do is we have to wait each time a box ejects. I'll just get back into the chair and I'll show you on the HUD. Because yeah, you've got this thing here which is showing 0 out of 0 SCU, and what we need to do is wait for it to say 0 out of 1 SCU, and then it will hopefully unbug. Sometimes it catches up rapidly if you continue extracting, but maybe if we try a series of pushing all the buttons, and we'll never know if any of them worked, because it might just have been time. You never know in these things. That's really good to hear from Druzio there, who says they just, sorry, I assumed he there, they started in 3.18 and are still having a really good time. That's something which I've been like a little bit worried about, basically, that, you know, somebody new might come in and just basically be like, what is this? You know, I do for my sins put out my referral code, so I do get to see sometimes, you know, just a pattern of, you know, people buying the game, trying the game, and a kind of a guesstimated percentage of those who then refund it, and I have seen that happen in the last couple of days. A lot of people hate on people who put out their referral codes. My question to those people is, would you not want a javelin? But you know, I think it's good as long as you just remind people that, you know, particularly if you're in the position like me where you make content, just remind people that if they've got a mate who plays the game, that's where their referral code, that's the referral code they should be asking for, basically. Probably mean a lot more to your mate to get, like, particularly if you come on during like one of the quarterly points where if you use the referral code you get a free ship and your mate gets a free ship. You should definitely find a friend and get them that bonus. Yeah, the a lot of gameplay will change completely when it comes to like when there's base building in the game. Like, and I'd imagine sort of like you'll get scales. So like just looking at something like refining, you'll probably have, you know, you'll go all the way through your ships, sort of small, medium, large, and basically there'll be sort of the lowest level of efficiency will be the small refinery ship, will be like the Expanse. Highest level of ship refining efficiency will be whatever. I hope at some point they come out with a capital refinery ship, for instance. Behave boxes. Wow, these are, as you can see, things are still very much in a developmental stage. But then yeah, back to the refineries. So I think sort of you'll get a rising efficiency with small to large ships or capital ships, and then eventually you'll get to a point where you're into like ground bases, and ground bases will give you the highest level of efficiency. I'm saying efficiency, I don't literally mean like, because there will be a stat for like yield efficiency. I mean the overall netting off of, you know, if you were to use the same process, this one would be best. The best combination of like speed, yield, and probably also input materials. Like you'll have to think about, like there will be a material cost to refining. They've talked in the past about like you'll need like catalysts and stuff. So, and I'm not going to push that any further, or you'll all start to realize that the last time I did chemistry was GCSE. Yeah, I would be. I'll be honest. I don't know with the Vulture quite how I'm not 100% the biggest fan of this whole like. Oh, sorry. Just while I've got it up. So you notice since I started being more patient, I'm waiting for that 0 out of 1 to come up. I've not run into that bug, and that bug was annoying me. And thanks for that. I'm really annoyed. I can't credit the exact person who was telling me this last night. But yeah, since you just wait for that to turn from 0 out of 0 to 0 out of 1, and then you can just pretty much continuously salvage. If you continue salvaging when it's showing 0 out of 0, then that's where you sort of trigger the bug, if you like. And then you have to wait a lot longer for it to sort of cool down. But yeah, I'm just a little bit like this whole 2 boxes, get out of the seat, get back in the seat. Little bit tedious. Little bit tedious. What I really hope they come out with at some point is a 2-person, a specifically designed 2-person salvage ship. Maybe with sort of one of the reclaimers lasers, so it's like what does that make? That's like 1.5 vultures in terms of efficiency. Bigger cargo area, and sort of more designed around a duo, like, you know, all the living quarters and stuff for 2 people. Because the Vulture is kind of a 2-person ship, realistically. And, you know, if it can be made by Argo, then that's going to be a shut up and take my money moment. Just saying. But yeah. Yeah, so as you can see, these panels do have rather a lot of viable salvage on them. Probably got another bit of a face round here, and this is why they are probably the best salvage. Sort of the density of them is just that much higher than the derelict wrecks. You can kind of tell by the outlines, like if a piece is blue, it basically corresponds to the, so there we go, we just turned red because I nearly pointed at my screen like you could see. When that dropped down below 32%, that's where we switched the outline over to red. And that's what the outlines correspond to. One thing I will also say that I'm not the biggest fan of with the Vulture, the lights are terrible. Like, you know, that's just... And then you compare it to the Reclaimer's lights, which are just, you know, brighter than the sun. I think we might have finally found a reason to have sunglasses in game when it comes to the Reclaimer. Yeah, I'd imagine there are... Yeah, John, there are some videos. I've got a little notebook which sits next to me most of the time. And I think to be fair, the variance video was quite fun, because the great thing about it is that it's one of those videos where the comments write part 2 for you. so there were so many good ideas from people in the comments that I could very easily make a part 2, which is basically like, you know, following on from five variants I'd love to see, and make 5 variants you'd love to see. Just script it based off what people have written in the comments. Be pretty good. I've got a few other things planned. I've got to come up with a slight alternative too. I've been making new player guides pretty much the whole time since I started. And the problem with them is they do take a long time to make. And then they stay relevant for exactly 3 months. Which isn't great. So I'm coming up with something like an alternative to that, and that should hopefully spawn maybe a few more videos. But I want to get back to making a few more theory crafty type videos. I need to get back to I used to do a series called Getting Organized, which was sort of using like Starjump's Fleet Viewer to build different types of orgs, and talk about like what their organization fleet might look like, sort of how different ships complement each other, that sort of thing. But specifically not talking about it from a perspective of like, you should go out and buy this ship. No, talking about it from a perspective of like, you know, the type of game that I really want to see, like a group of people working together towards common goals to build a certain type of org. So I'd quite like to go back and make another one of those, make another few of those, and maybe even like update some. Like, be interesting to go back and look. For example, I've got a mining one from, which was one of the first, like a mining org was one of the first of those videos that I did. It'd just be interesting, maybe particularly when they release details of the large RSI miner. Be quite interesting to sort of go back over and see if I would sort of change my picks for that. So yeah. Yeah, I love the Carrick Winters. It is a great ship. But the only issue is like, where do you go with it? That's the one thing that needs to change. We just need to see a little bit more in way of exploration type play. But I have to say, I just love it for like getting together with people, get a crew of you, and just go and, you know, you can have some real fun just like going down the missions and just like, you know, not caring about the money you're making, just pick up all types of missions, all sorts of missions. and then go and you've got them in a stack, and then you just, you know, over an evening or so, you just work your way through them. Like, that can be really fun. Yeah, I tend to start out at around about 5. 5 is my... So yeah, with the Getting Organized series, I tend to do it in 3 parts, if you like, and talk about the one we've done already. Yeah, that is. I tend to talk about a 5-person org, a 30-person org, and a 100-person org. When it comes to the 5, I kind of view that as like anything between 3 and 7, if you like. I think like one of the reasons I quite enjoyed doing it was because the fleets aren't as big as you think they might be, basically, even when you get to 100 people. You know, and a lot of the 5-person fleets, quote unquote fleets, are just a ship. You know, it did the one with the exploration org, and I think sort of a 5-person exploration org probably wants something like a Connie Aquila, and then they want to turn that into a Carrack over time together. They don't need 5 Carracks, you know. And when you get to like those 30 and 100-person orgs, I think that's where it sort of wakes things up a little bit, and you go like, wow, like I don't need that many ships, because you know, this many ships, which I know some people have in their personal hangars, would take 100 people to run realistically. So yeah, I like doing it as like as much something as like a wake up call. Me. The thing with like a 5-person org as well, though, is like if you're a 3-person org, group of mates, you can probably use that same ship, right? You might just need a couple more NPCs. Because this is the thing with the theory crafting, like you can just look ahead and bring in some of the features that we know are eventually gonna come. So yeah, I just looked at, yeah, we've got some additional NPCs there that we can stick on a couple of the stations. No, indeed, you don't need all your ships. You know, I'm sure. You know, I'm not distinguishing here between cash or in-game purchases, but I'm sure we'll all have eventually, you know, more ships in our hangar than the one we can use at a time. You need contingency. You'll need like, there might be the logistics, for example, of getting certain ships between 2 locations where your org operate out of. So, you know, you might want, for example, let's just say, for instance, you are a fighter pilot. You might want 2 or 3 of your choice of light fighter, you know, to station at different spots around the verse, and you might want multiples, so that, you know, when maybe claim times and things are a bit more punishing, so that you can still like get straight back into a Gladius and back into the fight. I think the key thing, the key thing to me is Star Citizen is for everybody. Like everybody who's happy parting with $45, and frankly maybe a bigger barrier as the PC that can run it. You know, that really is all you need to play this game. Everything's going to be earnable and achievable in game, and I don't think somebody coming in new to the game who hasn't spent a lot of money, I don't personally think they should look at the pictures that people put up of their their fleets and their Krakens and see like, oh my god, like he's got a Kraken. I should get a Kraken. It's like, no, like he's got a Kraken. He's gonna need at least like 10 people to just help him run that ship, let alone the fighters that are gonna launch off it. Or we might just have to. Grug's sitting by the door, and I can never quite tell whether that means he wants to go out and do his thing, or just is just trolling me a little bit and wants to look outside the door. So I better just make sure. It's all right. He was indeed just trolling, so truly is my dog. I think yeah, that's an interesting point, Greg. So I'll just read that one out because Greg's just pointing out here. I'm gonna paraphrase Greg, unless CIG have got Nyx like instantly ready to go. Basically, is the pent up demand and the world we live in of YouTube guides for everything. Is that gonna mean the exploration of Pyro, like, is it going to be over before we know it, basically? And everything about that system's going to be known. Therefore, sort of, I guess what you're getting at there, Greg, is removing that like frontier system vibe, right? And I would say the answer to that for me is probably more procedural exploration stuff. Mission based. Rather than the concept of like mapping a system and selling that information to other players, that sort of thing. I don't know how viable that's ever going to be in a world of where information gets shared as readily as it does in ours. But sort of procedural exploration, a bit like we've got the missions already, right? Like it's a very, very simplistic take on it, but the search missions which take you to caves, that body can spawn in a number of different places. It takes you to a number of different caves. Like it would take you a while, particularly with adding of new cave archetypes. It'd take you a while to get round every cave and see everything, So I just think that sort of thing could get scaled up. Go out and search for derelict lost ships. Go out and you could maybe even filter in like there's how they're talking about like salvage missions like being a thing. And sorry, I'm just gonna head back to ArcCorp just now, but I'm gonna do a little bit of a dog leg jump. Why not? Like they're talking about salvage missions which will involve there's somebody who's going to sell you. Basically there's an NPC organization which is going to sell salvagers the location of a certain wreck. Now what if you tied that in so that those opportunities for salvagers to buy the information were triggered to come up depending on when somebody doing an exploration mission for the same organization had found a wreck? So like maybe the organization could just be like they send out the first precursor mission, which is like, we know there is a caterpillar wreck in the region of Arcal 1. An explorer goes and pinpoints the location, completes that mission, and then as long as they sort of sell that information to the NPC org, then we get a wreck for a salvager to buy pop up. Sorry, B. I'm terrible at reading chat. I'm getting better, but I am terrible. I am going to stream for about another hour. I'm trying to be more consistent with my streaming, but just with other real life stuff on. I'm not gonna be able to knock out the 10 hours that I see other people doing. So I'm going for smaller blocks but more consistent. That's my new patch resolution. Gonna be trying to stream on Saturday or Sunday, and probably Thursday nights. So strangely enough, my wife Ali she wasn't annoyed at the idea of me suggesting that maybe she took herself off and had some her time on Thursday evenings. So that's an interesting view on it, Volf. Like 5 ships, daily driver basically, casual plane transport, cargo runner, light fighter, and a light team cruiser, something like a 600i. Yeah, I think that's balanced. I think one of the things which will be interesting to see is when like upkeep becomes a thing, because most other games have upkeep. Like games need in-game currency sinks to make the economies work. Like and upkeep is generally a good one to do that, because otherwise, there's no good way, there's no good lever to take cash out of the economy, if you know what I mean. And I think big fleets could be somewhat problematic for people who have a lot of ships. And what you might find is that, a lot of people with big fleets, they've got the benefit of like being able to pick and choose which ships they use, but what they might do is they might end up being much like yourself and have 5 that they actually have active at a time. They might have docked all of the rest effectively, like not using that or that. I've just got to pick these few, and that's what's going to be that's going to be my daily use or weekly use ones, that sort of thing. Right, how difficult is it to recover your hangar after the wipe? Not as bad as you would think, basically. One thing which I would say, and when you first start playing the game, you will want to try lots of ships, and you will grind and you'll find the best ways to make money. And by best, I mean most efficient. I was having a chat with a chap who shall remain nameless the other day, who basically said, I made loads of money mining. I hate mining, but I made loads of money doing it. Which is fair, he's new, he wants to try ships. Mining is one of the best AUEC per hour activities to do. There's a reason one of my most successful videos is how to mine to make the most AUEC per hour. But you'll want to try all the ships that you can, and that's cool, and you will. And then a few patches later, there'll be another wipe, and then you won't necessarily ever have that same feeling again, because you'll have tried so many ships that you don't like. I don't like the Corsair, for instance. So when they stick the Corsair into the game and it costs 3 million credits, that's 3 million credits I don't need to spend. Same with, don't shoot me down for this, but like, I don't tend to go and buy like more than one Reliant in a patch, whereas when I was first starting out, I bought all of the Reliants. And what you tend to do as you have more hours in the game, more patches under your belt, tend to just try and find the activities that you find the most fun. And for me right now, to be honest, that's variation. I like getting into a bit of everything. I don't sit there and grind mining from day after day after day. Just because it would send me a little bit mad. I think the healthiest thing to do at the moment is just to try out all of the game loops. Right. Hey, North Ace. All good here, thank you. Just having a chilled Saturday afternoon. Managed to eventually find some salvage to salvage. Always a good start. A little bit worried that nobody's asked me to dial into ArtCorp for landing permission. Appears that HUD prompt was just a little bit on the broken side. I do like the Reliant Sly. I particularly like the look of the TV one, the broadcasting one. And I really enjoyed during the Daymar rally the RP of the guys who were doing the cameras for that, because they were all flying those broadcasting Reliants, which was really cool. It was really cool, but there was a moment where me and Drez were like 9 hours in, and I was tracking behind him trying to get him to the very finish line, and because we were coming into the finish, we were getting some attention from the broadcasting crew. Their ship kept on getting in the way of the C2 I was tracking him in. That was a little bit I think I was frayed and sensitive at that point to begin with. It's a little bit tricky. I was just seeing my Daymar rally end with me ramming one of the broadcasting ships, and forever getting banned from taking part in another Daymar rally. So yeah, my very roundabout way of saying my advice would be try everything and then focus on the gameplay you enjoy, and without wishing to sound like a total cliche, focus on making some mates if you can. Like, one of the really big arguments I hear against any form of multi-crewing is it's not as profitable. It's not as profitable. I can mine solo and make more money. I can do bunkers solo and make more money. Bounties solo and make more money. And it's just like, yeah, but you're in this game which allows you to play with other people, and it's just more fun. I had some great fun doing things like hammerheads, even though it's complete and utter overkill. Like, because it's just fun. It's fun, like, getting together with like 6-7 other people and blowing shit up, frankly. Yeah, that is right for sure, Greg. Money sinks, engineering for components, repair, replacement. That definitely had that vibe from that latest chat on engineering. Right, I'm just gonna run and get a drink because I can feel my throat getting scratchy as. And Krug has just seen me go to the fridge, so he's of course giving me looks that say he deserves a treat too. Let's get Krug one of his snacks. Good boy. And make sure I don't miss my train stop. That is too right, Chad. All the people complaining they can't play with their mates in Skyrim, then play solo in Star Citizen. But honestly, I do understand. I do understand. Like sometimes you just want to be solo. Sometimes you just, you just want to go out. And I think salvaging is going to be my new favorite audiobook listening activity. Like, where you just want to be doing something in the background while you get through the latest Horus Heresy book. Is anybody else reading the Horus Heresy from Warhammer Games Workshop? Because I have to say, when I started that first book, Horus Rising, I didn't expect to be here nearly 100 books later on the finally on the final battle. There we go. We actually made some money in 318. I nearly cursed that by saying that before the transaction had actually been accepted. Yeah. The book series is still going. The latest book just dropped, and it's like part 1 of the final battle between the Emperor and Horus, which means that I'm gonna have to wait another bloody 6 months or so for a final conclusion. I might have to just stop it a few chapters early just so I don't get totally triggered by whatever cliffhanger it ends on. But yeah. Oh no, of course, at least that's consistent in Star Citizen. Never quite make the train. Lyrium, I'm afraid I don't have laryngitis. I have gradually repairing damage from all of the years of smoking. It's getting better. It's definitely improving. But yeah, don't smoke, kids. It's not good for you. So he says vaping, but better to vape than to smoke. Yeah, I'll be honest, Volf, it's one of my first transactions to complete. I spent, it was pretty funny, we were all on a hammerhead the other night, and about 3 of us got the opportunity, like we were getting the repair bug, and it wasn't coming up allowing us to repair this heavily damaged hammerhead for any of us, and then I think about 3 of us got it at the same time and all clicked it, so we all spent 25k. So it's like, that was one very expensive repair bill for the cursed hammerhead. I only kind of wish, I really wish I'd recorded that session. I could have just chucked it up on the Frontier channel, because yeah, that would have made for some hilarious viewing. Just in case you did miss the start of the stream as well, what I am going to start doing, sorry, I reminded myself by talking about the Frontier channel. What I'm going to start doing is putting up the stream VODs on the Frontier Consolidated YouTube channel. Just to try and give that more of a sort of starter purpose. The other purpose of that is, like, hopefully, as we get back to it in 318, sort of it's a place to put up a bit more org focused gameplay type stuff, and yeah, sort of like invite anybody from around the community who wants to try their hand at making some videos to if they want to put it up. But I would highly encourage anybody to start their own YouTube channel if I can do it. You definitely can. Like, it's not particularly hard. It does take quite a lot of work. You do have to love it. But let me, I will find you a link in a second, Bladio. It's... I better just get out of the elevator first. We might be able to fit in another salvage run if we don't, you know, take a year over finding some this time. And hopefully those parts of... Never hope. Never hope. This is the lesson. I think I'm gonna do an exit to menu before I die. Yeah, to be fair, I tend to, because there are a number of streamers that I like who, you know, are just on the other side of the world, and I'll frequently either be able to watch part of their stream or miss it entirely, but they're quite good to just have on, almost like audio type book type thing. Podcast, that's the word that I'm looking for. Bit worried that I just saw that my player is unstowed. Yeah, it's just 318 doing 318 things. Such is life. Totally gonna adopt Sly's take on this. It's the final forced PTU. That's what we're in at the moment. Yeah, I'm glad to see I'm not alone in having got suckered into the lengthy drive that is the Horus Heresy series. So I'm just not sure what I'm going to do when it's over. I guess I'm going to read all that other sci-fi that's piled up. At least it didn't steal my armor this time. That's good. Had a couple of instances where I've just woken up without any of my shiny armor on. Hence we're not wearing orange today. But yeah, hopefully they get that character reset working. Well, it's not character reset anymore, is it? It's character repair. That's the one. Hey Nick, how you doing, mate? Oh, we'll see. You have to keep slightly to time because Krug does need his walk and Scotland is looking like it's going to do Scotland things and start raining at any second. If any of you know Krug, you'll know that he doesn't like rain. Not a big fan of Skywater. Ooh, lucky you, Vulgarian. Falling through the planets only happened to you in live. There was a 318 patch where basically every elevator was a death trap, a PTU patch, where every elevator sent you falling through the floor, which was fun. Yeah, to be fair, there's lots of problems. There's lots of problems, and we will get a hot fix, undoubtedly. But that's why, in the meantime, I'm taking a very chilled approach. I was very ready to get on the grind this time around, and nah, like I think it's just a case of just taking it easy. Make a bit of money if you can. But don't worry if you don't, don't get angry. I'm still trying to pay off my XL1 debts. I've bought 3 XL1s so far, and at 97k each, they're not cheap. But yeah, I've only got 1 left. I didn't just go and buy 3 just for giggles. Managed to lose 2 of them, which was fun. Hence I'm struggling to break even from my starting 200,000 credits. But you know, that last salvage run definitely helped. Yeah, practice room. This is the thing I would say sort of before anybody goes crazy like buying lots of ships. Just keep in mind the demands of the system demands of this game. I pledged back in 2014. I did not start playing properly until 2019 because it just never coincided that the game was something I wanted to play and I had a computer capable of playing the game. Those two things didn't meet, so. What's my bet on the Misk Fury? Spoiler alert. Well, no, it's not a spoiler alert. Sorry, actually, because it came from CIG. That's my rule. That's my rule. If something is talked about in a CIG publication or video, then I view it as non-spoiler and okay to talk about. So it's an outside guess because I reckon what it could be is a racing ship. The only thing which makes me question is it a racing ship though is Misk already have the razors. I'm a little bit like, would it really be another one? But Fury is a great name for a racing ship. The other thing though that does come to mind is whether that will in fact be the 2-person salvage ship that I was wondering about, like 2 to 3-person salvage ship. Because, and this is a case of making an outside bet, so that it's not necessarily in line with what everybody else is saying. But according to one person I spoke to, Furies were from some form of mythology, would basically carry away the dead. Kind of like the is it the Valkyries from Viking mythology? So the concept of a Fury potentially being something which carries away the dead would potentially tie in with salvage and would maybe make a bit of sense in terms of Misk, because Misk is a obviously heavily industrially focused manufacturer. Bit weird, for instance, that they don't have a foot in the salvage game at all. Greek mythology, thank you, Sly. In fact, it might have been you who told me, mightn't it? So they do. No, they have not mentioned a 2-person salvage ship. I would highly expect it though, because that tends to, well, what you tend to do is more think about it in terms of small, medium, large capital. Most professions out there. Oh dear, I don't seem to be allowed to drink. Most professions seem to be following that, like mining has small prospector, medium mole, large the new RSI, large miner that they're talking about, and capital in the form of the Orion. And then obviously some ships have multiple at the same size point. But yeah, I would basically expect to see a a medium salvage ship, because the Vulture's your small, and the Reclaimer's like technically a capital ship in terms of it has a capital component. I believe is the power plant. Top of my head. So yeah, I would expect we will see something like a 2 to 3 person salvage ship. Baby's wondering why I'm pulling a C8R out. It's so that I can have some intravenous burrito. So yeah. Although it's not looking overly promising for this server in terms of the health of the ASOP terminals, it has to be said. That's quite an that's quite an interesting idea for it. From Volf there. Short range, sort of like something like the Merlin or the Archimedes, right? Sort of snub fighters with no QT drive, specifically designed to pair with the whole series. Like that's a cool idea. Yeah, prisoner transport for bounty hunting. Yeah, because they've talked about bounty hunting version 2, haven't they? Yeah, Fed, I unfortunately do need my intravenous burrito because the vendors are not processing my transactions. Apparently, I lack the credit to get a bottle of Cruise knockoff. But it also seems like we are having issues with having some issues with our terminals on this server. And this is just 318. I'm kind of glad it ended like this for the people who are unfortunately experiencing that player unstowed error, because I can understand watching me play and suffer no problems is doesn't help you with your Schadenfreude. So I'm glad that we can put to bed the idea of streamer YouTuber privilege. And yeah, quite a lot of it is a case of just trying different servers. Yeah, that's now that I've had to relog Volf, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pop to hospital and have imagine if that was what you did in the real world. That would be pretty bleak. Turn up at A&E. It's just like, I need a room. What's wrong with you? I'm hungry. I'm hungry and thirsty, and I don't know how to feed or drink. Yeah, we're down to 19%. Yeah, I'm gonna do some medical rescue. What I will be looking to do, and you know, I've been thinking about like what I want to do in terms of streaming, and frankly, I wanted to do a bit of a mix. I want to mix it up a bit. So like I say, I'm gonna try and make more of an effort to be consistent. We're gonna be doing like Sundays and Saturday or Sunday and Thursday nights. And we're going to mix it up. Some of them are going to be like this because, frankly, it's quite good to just sort of like, I'm trying to teach myself a new skill, if that makes sense. Like, it is a skill to try and do one thing on the screen, keep an eye on chat, and keep talking, all that sort of stuff. Good. So I'm going to do some streams like this, which are more focused on just chatting, throwing questions back and forth, that sort of stuff. But then I'm gonna do others which are more about like putting a small crew together. So if anybody is interested in that sort of thing, we will have a link to the Discord up if you're not already in it. Let's just stick one of those up in chat. Why not? And yeah, we'll put together crews. And I think that sort of thing for things like medical rescue will maybe be a little bit more interesting, you know? Like, I like the idea of I just remember which room they put me in, actually. I do quite like the idea of putting of doing things like medical rescue in like a Carrack with a Pisces C8R in them. Do it with like, you know, 4 or 5 of us, that sort of thing. So we'll do some gameplay streams like that. And we will also do a little bit of like again, I really need some, I need to accept that I need glasses, I think. So definitely thought that was floor 6. But yeah, we'll do some streams which are a bit more like, I go invite people if they'd like to come on, have a 5-10 minute chat about a particular subject. Just so people have an opportunity to, if they'd like to air some of their views. So yeah, it'll be a bit of a mix and match streaming. I might even once or twice, if you lot will let me get away with it, play some other games. But that will be in times when Star Citizen is going through one of its understandable dips. Intravenous burrito, the best type of burrito. Yeah, one of the things which is quite good on medical rescue is, and I think it'll be more important with 318 in general. So like we have a medical rescue bot basically in our Discord, so that anyone who gets into trouble, like rather than putting a beacon out to the whole server that they're on the hope that somebody who takes it gets the job done, people who are down can start a ticket on our server basically, and they can use that to get a rescue crew together. So so what I might do is I might grab some of the people like Sniggy from our support division. We'll crew up a Carrack, and we'll maybe spend one of the evening streams on like on a standby, that sort of thing, so that we can pick up any medical beacons which come up in the server that we're sat in, but we can also keep an eye on Discord, and we can always do server hops together and get across to wherever one of our org members or community members are down. No other games. Sad. There are plenty of other games that are good to play. My general view is that in order to marathon Star Citizen like we want to do, you ideally want something else as well. And I tend to basically rotate around what that game is. It's like sometimes it's a survival game like Ark. Sometimes I go back to playing League of Legends because I apparently hate myself. Just to, mix it up. Because what I do find is that if I spend any prolonged period of time playing a different game, Star Citizen, I miss Star Citizen and I come back and play it more. Because for all of its problems, one of the things which is great about Star Citizen is it's pushing that envelope. It's genuinely like trying to do something different, and something which your regular studios like your EAs and your Activisions would not let. somebody like Chris Roberts do. So for all of the, and undoubtedly that lack of oversight and Suits sort of bashing the door down saying, when did we say this game was going to release? That does, it hinders the project undoubtedly, but it is also one of the best things. It is a double-edged sword. So. But yeah, certainly for now we are going to be 100% Star Citizen, because there is so much content coming with 3.18. Just as soon as we can all get access to it and start doing some more org focused stuff, which is my favorite thing to do. So but yeah, I think sort of looking at the time, I think if I can get my Vulture out this time, I think we're going to be heading back into space. Probably head back out to the Halo, and I'm probably going to bedlog there so I can pick this salvage mission back up later. Maybe get a few people involved over on Discord, if it lets me take off. But yeah, if you've got any burning questions, you should probably get that scene too. But feel free to ask them. I will happily spend these last few minutes going through any of those, or just waffling on. That's my as I'm discovering you kind of have to. Well, that's interesting. appear to have destroyed my Drake Vulture in my attempt to take it out. Ah, right. The bed logging is maybe contributing to the unstowed. In that case, we'll be heading back to Bikini Point and logging out, because I don't fancy that personally. It's not my not in my to-do list, getting hit by that bug. Which pyro planet do I want to settle first? You know the answer, Sly. Which is the one with all the moss? The moss that got you incredibly excited during CitizenCon. It wasn't only you. We all got excited about the moss. Right. Saw a YouTube stream where I believe it was Expat Brat said that in MMOs, after a certain point, the currency is no longer the real currency, resources are. Your thoughts? Absolutely correct. It's... I think maybe Star Citizen has a potential for cash, like UEC, to matter more than it does in some MMOs. Like some MMOs like EVE, where the economy is 100% player controlled, certain organizations can corner the market, for example, in a certain resource. Let's just say Quantanium, just for the sake of it. Like, so if 100% of the active participants in the game economy are players, theoretically you could get an organization or a couple of organizations which effectively have like a monopoly or a duopoly on Quantanium, because they kill everybody who comes to mine Quantanium, and they stop anyone else getting it, right? And then they control that resource, and they either sell it to others at extortionate prices, or they don't let them have it, right? I don't think Star Citizen's going to suffer from that problem because of the plan to have the whole Quanta system. So I think you would always be able to buy every resource for cash, in-game cash, at a various market. But I do think I would agree in terms of like there comes a point where, particularly if you've got crafting driven stuff, there comes a point where the resources, you're not selling them as such. You're not selling them to get UEC. Maybe you're selling some stuff to get UEC to maintain your ships if you've got like an upkeep or a tax cost or something like that. But you're keeping the majority of your resources because you're focusing your efforts on the materials that you as an organization need to accomplish whatever goal that is. Like maybe that's building a big base or repairing a Bengal, like that sort of stuff. Like, so when it comes to something like the Bengal, maybe you're like salvaging Idrises, but you're salvaging them not to sell the capital components for money, but to like have the capital components that you can't buy in order to fix up the Bengal that you're trying to fix up. So I think that's probably what Expat Brat meant, and I would agree with it. But it does all come down to balance, and like I say, I think Starset might have a little bit of an edge in terms of like not allowing everything to go pure player controlled, because those sort of moments can be good when you're in one of those bigger orgs and you're the ones cornering the market in something, but they can be a bit shitty for other people, effectively. Thank you. That's the kindest method of getting stream sniped that I think I've ever seen. We'll have a game of checkers later, whoever you are. I promise. That would be a cool idea, B. I'm just moving on to B's point about it'd be cool if like they told us that the Pyro to Stanton jump gate was open, but then we had to find it. That would be pretty fun. I don't think it's gonna happen because, you know, just in the lore, like it's all mapped, like these are existing known systems. What I do think, and this came up in a chat earlier this week, what I do think would be quite cool is if that could be a way that they could introduce new systems in the future, like new systems. Once they've got the backbone of all the systems that they want in the game. I'm not going to say whether that's 100 systems, just to be clear. But like they could, for gameplay, announce that, you know, there is another system. They could drop hints as to where the jump point could be found, and then we could get that sort of gameplay where like people are out in Carracks like looking for the jump point to this magnificent new system. And yeah, just on Greg's point there as well, pathfinding tier 0. Like I think one thing which we do really need to see in the near future is the ability to drop beacons for just your org or just your party. Like you can use sort of personal transport beacons, so like the tech exists. So what I would really love to see is like scouts be able to, like, you know, and maybe it's a thing they have to buy, right? Like a one-use beacon to leave in space next to a bunch of Quantanium rocks, like so that they can just be like, there's the beacon for the miners to jump to, we're moving on to find some more stuff to mine. So yeah, that would be really cool. Right. So with that said, I'm gonna try and stick to my plan, and call this a day, wind this down. I would like to say thank you very much for all turning out and supporting me through this. It's like I say, streaming is something that I want to learn how to do. I think it's like any skill. Yeah, the more you practice it, the more you the more you get better at it. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. You can probably just about see somebody in the background is he's ready to go for his walk. So with that said, I better go and do that. But thank you very much, everyone. And I'll see you next time, or I'll see you over on Discord, and we'll keep cracking away at 318. Ciao for now.